Welcome back to the Relationship Refinery, where I am here to help you redefine as well as refine the way that you view healthy relationships. In this series, we've been talking about what love is using 1 Corinthians 13 4 through 7. Today, we're starting into 1 Corinthians 13 5, where we're going to be talking about how to love better in your relationship. But before we get started, as usual, make sure that you subscribe as well as hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time that I post a video. Not for me, but for you, because once again, I want to help you to redefine what it means to be in a healthy relationship. Maybe you have questions and you need answers, and if you have any questions or have any comments, make sure you leave them in the comment section. Let's go ahead and get started. If you haven't already, make sure that you check out the first two parts of this series. We are going to be talking about the first half of 1 Corinthians 13 5 today, where it says it does not dishonor others and it is not self-seeking. So first, as usual, let's take a look at the definition of dishonor. Depending on which version you're looking at, it may say that love is not rude. So taking a look at what it means to dishonor others, it pretty much just means a state of shame or disgrace. And if you want to go a step even further and take a look at the definition of disgrace, it just says a lost reputation or respect as the result of a dishonorable action. So something that you're doing that is causing you to not be respected or to lose respect or of your reputation or whatnot. Additionally, like I said, if depending on what version you're looking at, I was looking at the New International Version. If you're looking at the New King James Version, then it's going to say that it's to be rude. So it's saying love is not rude. But if we take all that in consideration, that just simply means that you as a parent are not disgracing your child. You're not causing them to lose their reputation, because even as children, they have a reputation. If you don't believe it, go on a playground with them. Well, I mean, you probably couldn't, but if you go on a playground with them, you'd see that each child has their own reputation, whether they're known for being super smart or, maybe not as smart as others. Maybe they're known for, the way they dress or the way they treat other people, but you as a parent can affect their reputation. Just as you tell them that they're a reflection of you, and so when they go out in public, they need to make sure that they're dressed however they need to be dressed and they behave. You as a parent can also be a reflection of them. You may not take that into consideration, that the way that you walk into Walmart, the way that you treat other people, it can be a reflection of them, and it can mess up their reputation, so to speak. Like if you really take into consideration that if you're always rude to people, then they may get made fun of or something like that for that. The same way that your children can ruin your reputation, you can ruin your children's reputation. I think about parents who try to publicly shame their children as a form of punishment, and they do it intentionally to ruin their reputation or to be disrespectful towards them. But what is the word saying right here? It's saying that it does not dishonor others. It's saying that it's not rude. So if you think about the times in which you are intentionally rude to your children, in which you're trying to humble them, or you're trying to you're just trying to punish them, though that is not what love does. Yes, love does discipline your children, but you got to find a way to discipline them in a way that is correct, because what is that teaching them? It's not teaching them not to do whatever. If anything, it's just building animosity between the two of you. Once again, you are modeling behavior for your children. If you don't want them to disrespect you, if you don't want them to dishonor you, if you don't want them to be rude to you, don't dishonor or be rude or disrespectful to them. And I know you may feel like, well, that's my child, I'm not going to get on their level. And truth of the matter is, a lot of us grew up in this environment. But I can't speak for other communities, but I see it so much within the Black community that a lot of us, we really have this, like, this is my child, this is my property, or this is something that I own. And that's not a healthy mentality to have with your children. Okay, even though your child is yours. Okay, it came from you. That child came from you, but it's not yours to do what you want. It's not yours to be disrespectful and whatnot. Like, the Lord is calling us to be loved, and so that's why I'm talking this. That's why we're breaking down what it means to be loved, because a lot of us, we might have grown up in a household to where that's the way that our parents punished us, is through trying to be disrespectful towards us, or be rude to us, or publicly disgrace us or shame us. So watch what you do. Remember that the things that you do don't just affect you, it also affects your children. So this goes for the parents who are very active on social media. You may feel like that's my business. I'm on social media. I do what I want to do. But the same way that you would encourage your child to watch what they do, because once again, they're your child and they are a reflection of you. Remember, you are also a reflection of them. How do you think your child would feel if you are posting certain things on social media and it comes back around to, because kids are little investigators and they can find all kinds of information, right, on the internet. And things that are posted on the internet tend to stay on the internet. So if you're in there, I'm not just speaking to women. Please no, I'm not just speaking to moms. I'm speaking to dads too, because I feel like we give a lot of, we really get on moms about what they do on the internet, but we don't really get on dads about what they do. I'm talking about both parents. What you do on the internet stays, and if it gets back to the child or child's friends or the peers that they are in school with, imagine what that can do to their reputation, or imagine what that can do to their self-esteem, or to how they feel. Don't just consider you, consider your child as well. Which leads me to the second part. It says that love is not self-seeking. I also see this a lot in parents because of this idea that I'm the parent, which means that I have the authority over everything. And I get it, you absolutely do as a parent have the authority. I'm not discrediting that. I'm not at all trying to put your child on the same level as you. I'm not. But I think some of us, we grew up in environments where we had no say. And so we just doing the same thing in our childhood. We end up having kids, and then because we didn't get to say, and when we were growing up, now it's like, oh, now I finally have somebody that I get to rule. I don't get to rule anybody at work. I'm not a supervisor or manager or whatever. In any relationship that I'm in, I don't have a say. So with this child, I'm just going to take all of that frustration out on my child. I'm going to tell them what they're going to wear, what they're going to eat, what they're going to do. I get to tell them how they do everything. And that's not good, as your child gets older. So one of the things I used to be a co-therapist, I guess, a co-host, I don't know what you want to call it, for a parenting class. And one of the things that we really emphasized, it was for teens, for older kids and teens. Well, it's for the parents, but for that age group. One of the things we really emphasize with those parents is the older your child gets, the less control you should try to have. And that tends to be the opposite for some people. Some people really are like, oh, my child is a teenager now, I'm going to take more control. But truth of the matter is, if you cannot trust your child to make smart decisions, that's a reflection of your parenting. I'm sorry to say. If you feel like that your child, if you feel like as they were growing up, you did not train them to make smart decisions in their teenage, in their young adulthood, that's a reflection of your parenting. Because that's what raising your kids is about, is raising them so that when they get out into the world, you can trust that they'll make smart decisions. Anyway, we're talking about being self-seeking. It's important for you to understand that the decisions that you make are going to affect your child, right? So making sure that when you are encouraging your children, first of all, that you're not manipulating, because that's not being self-seeking. You're trying to push them in the direction that you want them to go in. You have to, once again, trust that your child is going to make right decisions. You cannot control every little thing because that's what you want. So if your child wants to pursue a certain career, or they want to, pursue a certain sport or whatever, don't think about them. Don't think about yourself. Sorry. Think about them. Yes. Don't discourage them from doing the things that they want to do just because you don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be sitting outside in no heat, so now I don't want you playing this sport. Now, if it's a safety issue, that's completely different. But make sure that you are encouraging the things that they want to do. Don't make your child's life all about you. And there are some parents who have that. We talked about this sort of in the previous video. I gave you life. I'm your mother. I'm your father. You owe me everything. And that is teaching them that their world should revolve around you. And that's just simply not the case. Does your parents' world revolve around you as an adult? And if that's the case, then you probably need to go to therapy yourself to work on that. Because as an adult, your parents' world should not revolve around you. Should you be there for your parents when they need you? Yes. But if you are having to rearrange things now, it's completely different. I'm not talking about the children who are actually having to take care of, maybe an aging parent or a sick parent, something like that. That's completely different than when mom or dad calls, you have to drop everything that you're doing and you just go run to them. You don't owe, you as an adult still do not owe your parent for the sacrifices they made in parenthood, in your childhood, because it's what they're supposed to do. Same thing for your child. Don't pass that down to them, that they are expected to drop everything, that your life, that you are the sun and that they are the earth and they are just revolving around you, because it's not fair. That's not self-seeking. Make sure that there's a mutual thing, okay? But also, don't put your child in the center either, to where you are forgetting everything about yourself. You're not taking care of yourself. You're going without because you're trying to make sure that your child has. That's not love either. That's not you loving yourself. So all in all, just make sure that you are not making decisions that are only going to benefit you. Make sure that the decisions that you make benefit your child as well, because that's what it means to not be self-seeking. So of course, the ways that I say to deal with that is through therapy, of course. But also having a community of people who will hold you accountable and listening to them. Not just being like, that's my child, and you're not going to tell me how to raise my child. Listen to them, because they may see something that you don't. If you completely disagree, you prayed on it, and you feel like that the Lord has told you that that's not what you need to be doing, what they're telling you that you should do, then that's completely different. But if it is something that you can work on, if you really are somebody who's disrespectful to your children, you're dishonoring your children, or you're self-seeking, I pray that the Lord will reveal it to you so that you can make some changes. Like I said, going to therapy, having accountability partners, a parenting group, like being around other parents that you can just vent about and hear different options, because maybe, once again, maybe all you've seen growing up is the way that your mom raised you and the way that your grandma raised her, or raised your cousins, and or aunts, and all those things. And maybe you need to see something different, or to hear people who have older children and hear how that has affected their relationship. But I, of course, strongly encourage family therapy if that's what you need, or just, individual therapy if you want to work on some things one-on-one. If you can think of more examples in maybe your childhood, or maybe you'll be willing to admit the ways that you have been self-seeking or dishonor others, please make sure you leave that in the comment section. I would like to leave you with a scripture that I've heard it multiple times before, but I came across it in a new light as I'm going through this series. And that's Colossians 3:23-24, which says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." And the reason why this stood out to me is because a lot of us, we will have kids because that's just what we feel like we're supposed to do. And parenthood is not a role that you just kind of fall into, or at least it shouldn't. But I feel like that's how it tends to happen. Sometimes it just becomes oh, well, I'm pregnant, even if it's not even it might be planned, and that's fine, or, that's great. But it's still a role that we just kind of fall into, instead of taking it serious and looking at it from the lens of, I am serving the Lord through this parenthood job. So in what I do, I need to make sure that I am honoring God in my parenthood, in the way that I parent, which is, once again, why we're looking at 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. It's not just so that you can improve the relationship between you and your child. It's also so you can improve the relationship between you and the Lord. Because remember, your child is first and foremost God's child. And if you are disrespecting them, you are dishonoring them, you're being self-seeking, you're not being loving, kind, or you're not being kind, patient, and all the other things that we talked about, then you are disrespecting God. So in this scripture, like I said, it's encouraging us to everything that we do it for the Lord, not as if we are doing it for human people. So as you're parenting today, as you're parenting for the rest of your child's life, do it as if you were serving God, not as if you were serving your child. That is all that I have today. Make sure that you subscribe. Once again, hit that notification bell and send it to a friend. As usual, leave something in the comment section. And until next time.